Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll call it 6:01. That brings us to roll call.
Eldon Larson,
I'm here.
Dayton Flake, Andrew Bushman, Carson Flake,
Here.
Pat Hansen.
Right, thank you. Can we get a volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I'll do it. Stand. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Hey, good to see you. Okay, you'll call for a volunteer to say the invocation. Looks like Carson's going to do it. Thank you, Carson.
Our Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee, we're grateful for the country we live in and the opportunities that we have. Please help us to be grateful for the things that we have. Help us as a school board that as we meet, we'll be able to make the best decisions for all those involved. We're grateful for Thy Spirit, and we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Let's note that Dayton Flake has now joined us. Happy to have you. Happy birthday, boy. What a place to spend your birthday. Good job. We appreciate that. Okay, I will make a motion that we adopt the agenda as outlined.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Carson. Got a second? Do we have any changes, modifications, or anything, discussions that need to be made about the agenda?
We have one on personnel that was misprinted or whatever. Anthony Wetton as drama coach, he should be assistant drama coach.
Okay.
That's been corrected on the electronic version.
Okay.
Thank you. So with that noted, any other discussion? Call for the vote. Karsten?
Yes.
Kat? Yes. Dayton, myself, yes. Thank you. Dayton, you're just in time for yourself.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the August 13th board meeting.
I'll second it. Any discussion, notes that need to be made? Okay, call for the vote. Kat? Dayton? Yes. Myself, yes.
Yes.
Karsten? Thank you. You're up, Mr. Fields. We're to the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. You have a written report from me, but the first thing I wanted to do is recognize some champions that we have visiting us this evening from the high school. So if I could get our softball team and their coaches to come on up here and for a picture, I'd like to recognize have you come in here so the board can check out the team. Good.
Make sure you spread really well across the front so that we can't be seen in the picture.
So I present the championship team. Even if you have great players like we do, it still takes chemistry and even some good luck, good coaching, good atmosphere, good support from your school and your principal. And we are just so proud of these girls and everything they did. I hope you guys hold this, maybe. We sure are proud of you guys. Board members, would you like to maybe stand up behind them on the side here? And we'll get it.
I was hoping not.
Hoping to stay out of the picture.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, was there anything you wanted to add?
Come around the, I think you did a good job.
You got the picture, Julie? So, and they set some records during this game, so we are so proud of them. Yeah. We're looking for more good things from them. Good job. Good work. So, like I said, we appreciate them. Are there any questions or comments you want to give the girls or the team before
Well, just congratulations, great job.
Thank you, keep it up.
But I'll ask you a question and see if I can get a leader to step up from the team. What was the most memorable game from last year? Who would like to take that? Semifinals, big game, huh? You knew it was
So, follow-up question to that, what was the toughest game that you had to play, or that required the most grit? Baghdad?
Regular season back then. Yeah, regular season back, not state.
That game, we were losing from the first batter on. The first batter hit over, Baghdad hit over the fence, like the second pitch of the game, losing 1-0. We went to the bottom of the seventh inning, losing, I think it was 3-2. And some of these, the juniors now, they're sophomores then, came up and, we scored 2 runs at the bottom of the seventh and walked it off 4-3. And so when we played in the championship game, that's what we all remember. We were ready for a fight like that. But that game turned out a little different.
Little bit different. Yeah, I remember that, I was following it, because I have a daughter that coaches with you guys, and she enjoys it, so I followed all the games just to be able to talk with her.
You guys peaked at the right time, and even though they have great players, you know, it takes a team, it takes a total effort, even from behind the scenes. So it's just a good thing all the way around.
And they're good students.
Couldn't be more proud of them, really, girls. Thank you. Make this a good place to work. Congratulations. I have some report items I wanted to spend some time on, and namely, first thing, we have.
Thank you for coming.
Will Flake, I think that's him. Will, would you like to, come up here and maybe introduce yourself and, talk a little bit about this project? We pulled up some maps, and, we have information that you guys have supplied to us, about the project already, so, is that okay if you, present this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, you might want to introduce what your role is at Navajo County as well. Okay.
So, my name is Will Flake, I'm the county engineer at Navajo County, and I've been in that role for coming up on a year, I guess. And I appreciate this opportunity to be here and kind of share what we're doing here in Jcusd. So what we've done, we've hired an engineer to design a sidewalk project through much of Joe City, and the main purpose is for children getting to and from school. So that's kind of the main thing that we had in mind. We came up with what we thought would work the best. We communicated with the school district to try and find out where most kids are walking, and we actually changed the project based on the information that we got. So that's still in the design process, so keep in mind, everything I tell you could change. I don't think everything will, but it's possible that some things can change. And so the county is paying the engineer, but we have 2 grants, a Transportation Alternatives Grant and a CDBG grant for the construction of the sidewalk, which we're grateful for. Probably we couldn't build the whole thing without that. And there's still we don't know exactly what it's gonna cost. We've got some cost estimates, but they're still working on some things. So we don't know exactly what it's gonna cost. There's still a chance it could be phased, but right now we're looking at constructing all of it at the same time.
Who was responsible for obtaining the grant? Was it Chris Pastor, county organization?
Yeah, it was the county. We actually have a grant writer, Ken, I'll get his name wrong, Mariyama. I could be wrong, don't quote that. He helps get both of those grants.
It was a thank you letter, so.
That'd be great, yeah. He does good for us. He's always looking for grants and opportunities to get some money so we can do some of your projects.
We appreciate it. Okay. So the red, it's not red, pink color is the sidewalks?
Yes, the pink color is where the sidewalks are planned to be installed, which is quite a few of the streets. On Second Avenue, there's that existing, path that will stay, that was there, so we thought, let's just leave that and then add to it. The blue is where there'll be new sidewalk, let me back up, it's all ADA accessible. So the blue, there'll be ramp down to the asphalt, so somebody could ADA accessibly go from the sidewalk across the asphalt, back on the ramp, if you want. So that's what the blue indicates. The yellowish color, there's 4 of those locations. There'll be actual school crossings, so not just a crosswalk, but those yellow painted school crossings.
Or do any signs need to be added for the school crossings, like on Second, or?
I don't believe so.
I'll cover it
That could, so, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, well, so the asphalt on some of the streets, I mean, it doesn't go clear to the edge, so when you say it'll ramp down to the asphalt, will it literally go all the way out to the asphalt?
Yes, it'll go to the asphalt,
Okay.
actually to the edge of the
Okay.
asphalt. The sidewalks are back away from the asphalt, but when they get to a street, they'll ramp up or down to the asphalt directly. And, I know what I was gonna say. Because this is a grant, it has to go, and some of it's federal money, it has to go through ADOT, which, between all of us here, it makes it more difficult. But it has to go through ADOT. So ADOT's reviewing the plan, they'll make comments. I don't anticipate the design changing much, more as just tweaking some things here and there that are kind of the way ADOT likes it. But that's kind of where we're at now, is ADOT's reviewing the plans. There'll be a couple of phases of that.
Who will do the work? Contract.
We don't. When the plans are complete, then we'll bid the project, which right now, we're anticipating somewhere around the end of the year. So I would guess probably construction sometime early next year. That's when construction will actually start.
Questions or comments?
Great.
Are they gonna be concrete sidewalks?
Yes, it'll all be concrete.
I'm guessing they'll have rebar in them and stuff like that, or is it just gonna be concrete?
I believe it's all just concrete. Which, I know we've talked about, so there's driveways, or not,
Mm-hmm.
there's dirt driveways. So vehicles will be crossing all of these. So we may beef those up a little bit where we're expecting, vehicular traffic. But I don't know the details on, I doubt it'll all have rebar though.
According to what I can see there, it shows which side of the road they're on to, correct? Third and Fourth are on the south side of the road, but on First it's on the north, is that?
Yes, I believe that's correct. I do know, right here, I believe it's gonna, I'm trying to remember why off the top of my head. This could be correct, because I actually got this from the engineer today. So I believe these are all on the correct side of the street.
One thing that's of interest to our school board and our school is that at the elementary school, just to the left of that road there is our bus loading zone and a parent pickup after school. It's a very narrow road. It seems to get congested, so as a district and a school, we looked at maybe adding a sidewalk or widening it out there and a curb on
this side?
Yeah, on the left side of the road, yeah, because it's, just the way it's arranged, and I just looked at it.
And I know that was brought up, we would have liked to have done something there, but it really, we got the grant on the premise that we were trying to add, sidewalk accessibility between the schools and people walking, so over there didn't really fit that.
Sure. The school, when you get your contractor, we might be interested in adding that to them if it makes sense, because, you know, that being our bus loading area, no, our bus transportation coordinator here today too. He can, maybe answer any questions the board has, but, just an opportunity to maybe make it a little safer for parental pickup. Anything, Mr. Mosier, on that?
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yes. And we can definitely let you know who the contractor is when they're selected. I'm sure you'll get a better price than if you were just to hire a contractor to do that, so worth looking into.
The permits and stuff would go through you for us to, so yeah, there's a better picture of it. You just got pulled up.
It'd be right along where I'm
Very
moving.
narrow road. And that,
I've driven it, I know it's justified, yeah.
And the congestion comes from the pickup and drop off in the mornings and afternoons from parents. That's where they go, and so we're trying to make it safer.
so our project might just go from there to the stop sign, like from those solar panels to that.
Under
To there.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that could just be permitted to the county.
Okay, and that would go through you.
Yeah, like you said, because the road's so narrow, when we get cars coming down that road, our buses
They're-
come down almost to the intersection, and we can see this side too, that way everybody can see. It stakes down to almost over here, where our last bus, if we have 4 bus stations up. And so traffic coming in, there's a big dip right there for drainage. So a lot of times if there's a car here, we either have to wait, which is not a big deal, but it's a really, really tight turn.
Sure.
And then we're hitting that dip and worried about breaking leaf springs or shocks on the buses. So like Mr. Fields is saying, if there's anything we can do to move the stop sign over, add on to here, that would clear us on the bus, and cars aren't this close to us as we're loading it for students.
So you're just talking about widening the asphalt, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking about a sidewalk with a curb, probably a pullout along there for parents, and then asphalt to wherever the concrete begins for the curb or the.
So we probably need like measurements from the county, like how far we can go out, put in the sidewalk.
What the easement is.
Yeah, it's, no, we can look that up.
Would you be able to give us any kind of design assistance, just to make sure that we're compliant with?
Or recommend.
That would be tough, just because
Okay.
of the amount of
Just-
time it would
Just asking, yeah.
Yeah. We can, I mean, there's civil engineers nearby that could definitely help.
Okay. Well, that's how we did it.
But I'm sure the contractor would want some plans to go by.
Okay.
Sure appreciate your time. Anything
I
else?
have I brought this up before when we were talking about it, at the corner of Shelley and Third, there is no stop or yield. And that possibly, correct, that whole, there's nothing on that intersection. That might be something to look at.
Yeah.
Because this week, I saw almost an accident, again.
And we do get a lot of students that do walk down that road also.
Yes, Shelley is a main, Shelley and Third is,
Pretty a busy intersection.
Relative.
Yeah.
I mean,
For Douglas City, there we go.
Busier than the other.
it's not as busy as Second and Westover,
Sure.
but
There's just no stop sign, that's what causes the problem.
Yeah. Or there's not on several of those.
There's nothing there, just keeps plowing.
most people slow down because there's not one. People that don't pay any attention, teenagers, there's not a stop sign, so,
We don't know what side you would put it on or anything. I'm sure you guys study that out, but.
Yeah.
But
We'll have to look at it. I'll make a note of that. We'll look at that.
and while we're doing it, it would be easy to put a sign in the ground.
Well, and the county has a sign guy that could go do it probably tomorrow, but we just have to look at it and see what makes the most sense.
But there's probably ways to do that, putting signage down the road or whatever for people to get used to it
Yeah.
also.
Sometimes you put a stop sign ahead or
Okay, but we sure appreciate this, and we'll make sure to, thank that gentleman from the county, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're welcome to stick around if you'd like to, but we're gonna proceed on.
I understand you have to
Probably
leave.
head off.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, I've taken quite a bit of time on my report already, so I'll tell you what, if you have any questions on it, I'm more than happy to answer them, but the attachments, most of them speak for themselves. There's some highway construction that they're accepting comments on until September 30th. Spencer had, thought of maybe a couple things to find out from that. They're doing the overpasses, 3 overpasses on the interstate. That's in your backup. The maps for this, the policy that was approved last month, I attached the wording to that onto my report so you can see what the actual policy looks like when people pull it up now for the grading, elementary grading. And that's basically it, unless you have any questions.
So you got the pamphlet there that's going out for voting?
Yes.
So I attended a class at the law conference specifically on that. And I was actually pleasantly surprised that the law is not quite as strict as I've always thought. I always thought as a school district, you can't do anything other than make that pamphlet up. But there's a few things that maybe I thought we could talk about and see if you wanted to look into
Sure.
doing.
Great, yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised in that class.
Awesome. This would be a big override for us, and, I've heard some projections that it won't pass, but I think that's just speculation at this point. Nobody's doing polls, I don't think.
So anyway, I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, that would be awesome, thank you for that.
Anything else, any questions for Mr. Fields? I have to remember where I'm at now.
I also have some data on our pre-lunch, remediation class that, was discussed. I didn't put it electronically, these are confidential student lists, but I can share them with you guys here. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I did have one question. So you have on there also where we were talking about meals for people that travel.
Yeah.
So if I understood that right, you were wanting to look at providing the first meal out instead of the parents providing the first meal out, but through the cafeteria type of thing? And then the second meal would still be, is that what we're looking at, or?
Yeah, we'd like to try and cover the meals,
Okay.
as we, as long as we can. I think it would, for several reasons, and many of them, but one thing is, like, our football numbers, we want to encourage kids to play and have fun and do these extra things. And if it's an extra burden, financially, it's not. So this maybe could make it a little more appealing to kids to play the sports and, treating them right. But it could also help us if we use our food service, because then we're buying it from ourselves.
Okay. Do you have a projected cost yet?
We're waiting on that. That's kind of been the holdup. But yes, that's a good question.
And that's something that we'll vote on at a future meeting?
We can make it a procedure, or we can put it in policy, I guess it's your prerogative. We would like to try and cover their meals for travel.
I'm just, is it something that will come to the school board when we're ready to move forward?
It's not a policy currently, it's a procedure that's in like handbooks, not board policy. We can put it as board policy, probably unnecessary. I think a procedure would be just fine if we can enforce it everywhere in the world.
I think just having knowledge of the procedure is good enough, because that's kind of where this came from. Everybody was, like, new coaches are going, so what is the rule, is what they say. And like you say, there is no policy, but things have changed over the years. So if it's just a procedure, it allows for change without necessarily having to have a policy change. So.
But I will definitely keep you posted on everything we're doing, all the information we get.
If I could add, what we do put out there is a travel guide, and that lists how much per meal we reimburse. So that would be, and that's something, when that changes, those amounts change, we do bring that to the board. And so, and this is something we would list on that in some way, on that travel guide. So at whatever point we would bring that travel guide to the board, we would ask you to approve, any changes in that.
So I'm so old school that when I was in high school, you travel, first meal out, so let's say you left at 10 o'clock. Lunch was on the kids, so you'd bring a sack lunch, right? Then if you were still out, when dinner time came, the school was buying the dinner. And it didn't matter whether you were going to state, whether it was football, baseball, whatever, choir, the school was helping provide meals, second meal out. And then at some point, we changed it, so the only thing we can afford to do is, I think that's where came from was, if they make it to state, it's kind of a, congratulations, we're gonna give you a meal type of thing. Other than that, you got, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the question was brought up, well, what is the rule or procedure, or is there a policy? So, the money thing has to change with inflation and things like that, so it's realistic. But the coaches were asking, and I didn't know, so that's why I brought it up. And so, in my opinion, it was like, well, we've had such kind of warm discussions over breakfast in the classroom, and we got to feed kids, and things like that. That I'm like, as a coach, I have seen kids pay for other kids to eat, and I have seen coaches pay for kids to eat because they just don't have the money. Now, whether it's because their parents forgot to send them money, or because they can't afford it, I don't know. But our community is really good at helping those kids that need that. So I just thought it might be a good idea to look at our procedure and see why we changed it, and see if we can go back to it, so that we're not burdening other kids or coaches who get paid such a large amount now as it is to feed kids dinners when we're out there. That's where this came from.
I would like
So
to
I
know,
appreciate you guys looking at it.
I would like to know what other schools are doing too, as far as this goes.
There's
Probably not much.
some that do it and some that don't. Not everybody.
Even if you were in band,
Yeah, I've heard other coaches
Dorn,
and people talk about it.
whatever, you got cash.
No, they're
Yeah, I'm
mine.
sure
I've
it's different through each school.
Yeah, each school's different.
I've never had it.
Our fees to play are a little bit lower than a lot of places.
Right.
All those things play in.
There's a lot of things that play into it. Maybe you should have gone to school here?
Maybe I should have.
Anyway,
I could play on the macho volleyball team.
any other questions for Mr. Phil? Yeah. Yeah, that was nice.
So thank you.
Sorry I took up your time.
That's good.
Okay. That brings us to call the public. Do you have anything
None.
to say today? All right. Now let's get going. That brings us to the consent agenda. I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion in these? That's pretty small, consent agenda,
3A.
pretty easy. Yeah, it's 3A through 3C. 3 Alpha Bravo Charlie. That's my work coming through. Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, call for the vote. Dayton?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Carson? Okay, Kat stepped out, but we three of us, so we're good. Brings us to number 5 Alpha personnel request. I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel request as listed, along with that change that was mentioned at the beginning.
It's in this.
And it's in this, right? Okay.
Was there a second?
He hasn't,
Oh,
almost
but I
got
missed
done.
it. I'm sorry.
I'm done.
I'll second it again.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion needed? All right. Call for the vote. Myself, yes. Carson?
Yes.
Dayton? Okay. That brings us to 5B. I'll make a motion that we approve the performance pay plans and classroom site fund allocation as presented.
Second.
Okay. Wanna speak to this one a little bit, or?
Yeah, so there's some, statutes in our state that provide for performance plans, and, they fund this, and we just have to make sure certain requirements are met, and I'd like to keep it pretty much the same as it has been. Has a professional development component, a student goal, site goal component, all those things. They're included in the backup, there. So the main one is the teacher one, and then there's 3 other plans for, other employees that aren't necessarily considered teachers, but, they would qualify. And we also have the breakdown of what performance pay. If you look at it with benefits and everything, it's over 3,000, but it's, it'd be about 2,500 in the take home. A little bit in December, like 600, and then the remainder in June.
Okay. And this is pretty much the same requirements as last year, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll ask the same one I normally ask. Are most of our teachers getting it? Correct. If I understand last time, all of them that even attempted got it?
I've only had one that didn't qualify in 7 years.
Okay.
But usually if they'll put some effort in, they can definitely do it. The one that didn't qualify didn't try, so.
Okay. And Mr. Mosier, is that, I do think they need to do something, but I don't want our requirements to be so high that it's not even worth.
Anybody can do it if they want to.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I think we're at you, Kat. You wanna vote on this one?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, you're all right.
I had to take the call.
We just moved on. We're all right. I hope you didn't mind.
I didn't mind,
Okay.
sorry.
So, Dayton?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we're all yes. Right. Okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
You're fine. That's perfectly fine. Okay, that brings us to 5C. I will make a motion that we table this until further information can be obtained.
Second.
Okay, so this is another one that I attended a class on at the law conference, and they basically said that you can, as a board, either adopt them or not adopt them, but there's some litigation, some court things going on where it's sometimes, some schools can't enforce them even if they adopt them, and it's by individual schools, not by, anyway, there's a lot of confusion around it. So I feel like it'd be best if we just table this until we get more information later from the court.
Can I ask for clarification? So there's several policies, but, the ones I think
Right.
that are in question are numbers 788 through 791, so.
Right,
And then
that's correct. And there's others in here that we, so how do I do that if I want to approve some and not the other one?
792 to 800 should, I think, could be approved. They comply with the law, no questions. However, the 788
Through 791.
so they're 2 different little.
Okay, so I will change my motion. I will amend my motion to say I will make a motion to table the policies 788 through 791 and approve of policies 792 through 800.
I think that's a good idea, just throw my 2 cents in.
798 to what?
798 to 791 tabled, 792 to 800 approved. This is what happens when I actually attend the classes.
Well, I'm glad, because I was reading all of this, and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody, I don't know, anyway, so I'm glad that we're gonna do this.
It was interesting because they're changing the definition of harassment would now be discrimination. Sexual harassment becomes sexual discrimination and would fall under Title IX, probably to give it more teeth to enforce. But they're telling us at this conference that we attended, you can't enforce it yet. So why would we adopt a policy that we can't enforce yet?
Right, and it's all hinged on, it's not the harassment or the, what it hinges on is there's 4 groups that have taking it to court, and it's about the naming of individuals, whether they're transgender or not transgender, but anyway, it's all about that. It has nothing to do with the sexual harassment part of it.
We don't want to promote or permit
Right.
sexual harassment, right, so.
Did anybody second it again? The second time?
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Dayton, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
Kat, thank you. Okay, that brings us to 6A, request for future agenda items. Do we have any requests for future agenda items?
I don't have them specifically, but I learned some things at this conference that it looks like we need to maybe change a little bit of our board meetings. So I'd like to talk to Mr. Fields about that first and see what we want to do and where we want to go, but I'd like to do that at the next board meeting.
Okay. Julie, can you make a note of that? So it's like, board meeting procedures or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other requests?
There was one thing I neglected in my report, if I could just throw it out right now. Our enrollment is down just a little bit, about 19, 20 students from last year.
Okay. Okay, upcoming meeting and events calendar. So I'm assuming our next meeting is
October 8th.
second Tuesday, 6 o'clock, correct? Is there anything that might possibly, on the calendar, that might possibly hinder that? I have a personal thing, but...
I appreciate you attending today. I know there's a lot of personal things that go on in board members' lives. It's got to be a challenge to be here, so thank you guys.
All I see is an away volleyball.
Okay. All right, well, looks like we'll stick with it then. Want to thank people for coming. Well, we had a big group now. Well, now we know where the
We need to
most
win
important thing is. Need to win more state championships. But, Lexi, we appreciate you being here. Way to get in the pre-work. That's a good thing. Appreciate that. Okay, I'll make a motion that we adjourn. We'll call it 6:38.
I second it.
Get Kat out to her irrigation. Myself, yes. Karsten, Kat,
Yes.
Dayton. All right, thank you. We are adjourned.